Let's take a look at the Cold Steel American Lawman, or what I like to refer to it as the knife that just begs to be used. What you're looking at on the blade is a 3.5-inch blade. It's AUS 8A steel, and the steel on it's a pretty good steel. It'll hold a reasonably good edge, and it sharpens up extremely nice. At least for me, this is easy to sharpen, and the edge it takes is wicked. Now, part of that reason is this blade is a hollow ground blade, so it'll take a nice fine edge, and of course you can see that it's got that drop point style. The thumb studs, I'm going to call that two studs. It looks like just one, but it's actually two pieces. This comes out and you can reverse it, just switch them back over and then screw them back together so you have a more prominent side on whatever dominant hand that you're going to use this with, left or right. But it still has enough, so if I'm using this left hand, I am right-handed. If I'm using this left hand, there's still plenty of thumb stud there to deploy the blade. One aspect that I don't like about this blade, and it's not the end of the world, is I'll have to roll in a picture if I remember to take one. This blade actually does not extend down to the finger choil. I've been getting a file in here and I've been messing it up pretty good trying to fix it myself. But part of the reason, at least what some people say, is because then when you close the blade, if that blade is all the way to the end, it might hit you in the finger. That could be a reason. Another reason perhaps is just easier to manufacture that way. I don't know. But I prefer to have that blade go all the way to the edge of that finger choil. That way when you're cutting, you don't have a dead spot that's right here. So that's something that I've gone in and just I'm right in the middle of it actually, trying to fix that and make that edge go all the way to the back. The coating on this, honestly, I've never been that impressed with the coating that Cold Steel puts on these blades. That being said, with how hard I've used this, it has held up better than I expected, but you can still see there is a bunch of wear on there. This blade in particular, it kind of has that cool wear just to where you know it's been used, but you can see this blade coating will certainly wear on you over time. Now, what I will likely end up doing with this blade is taking all this coating off. The thing about that is underneath this, there is a beautifully stone washed blade, and it actually looks pretty good. So eventually, when I get around to that, I will do that to the blade and likely the clip as well. Moving on to the handle scales. The handle scales, we'll talk about deployment in a minute, I guess. But the handle scales are a G10 variety. And there is another version out there that I've seen that's a beautiful green color G10 scales, which looks pretty slick actually with the black blade and the green. Also, if you choose to take that coating off, which many people do, that stone washed and that green would look pretty slick too, I think. But these handle scales are very aggressive. I really like that. You can probably hear this. You can see actually it's taken off some of the skin on my dry hands. But these will certainly leave their signature in your pants pocket if this is the only knife you're carrying day in and day out. Now, what a lot of people will do is just simply sand the areas underneath the clip a little bit to smooth it out. You got to be careful you don't remove too much. Also, there's the JB Weld mod that Nuttin likes to do. Personally, I'm just going to leave it as is. If I'm going to do anything to it, I'd probably just hit it with some sandpaper and lighten it up. That being said, I'm rotating knives enough where I'm just not that worried about it. Overall, the aggressiveness of that G10 is a 10 out of 10 in my book. I really like aggressive knives, so I like that quite a bit. Ergonomics on this are very nice as well. They've got the nice rounded edges. Kind of see how they're milled there. Up top, you do have some jimping. It's barely functionable, to be honest with you. I do like the looks of it, but as far as gripping and getting at it, real good traction on that, you're not going to get much on it. That being said, I like that it's there. It just adds a little character to the blade. The lockup mechanism is the back lock. Specifically with Cold Steel, it is the triad lock, and that is arguably one of the strongest lockbacks or lockup mechanisms on the market. Now, there are plenty of videos out there that show just how tough this lockback is, the triad lock specifically, and the thing is, well, let's just say it's bomb-proof pretty much. The way the blade locks up in there, that thing locks up tighter than Fort Knox. The thing is freaking solid. This knife is just phenomenal when it comes to locking up and just being used for hard use. It's going to withstand quite a bit. Pocket clip on the back here, you can see, is left or right and tip up carry only, so you don't have the tip down option. For me, not a big deal, because actually I prefer tip up, and I'll stop short of saying detest tip down. More on this back lock is sometimes I find it to be just a little bit stiff. It's not going to, at least this particular knife, in my experience, with some other knives, using this Endura 4 as an example, this back lock is very, very easy to depress and get the blade to unlock. So a little bit easier. But that said, it's nothing that bugs me. It's just more of by way of information. Sometimes it's a little bit tougher to press down. Deployment of this blade, it's kind of hard to do behind the camera here, but again, this isn't it's not going to pop out like some of the other blades I've had, as smooth as that. But that is not to say that this is a rough deploying blade. It is not. It just doesn't come out as fast. And for me, is that an issue? Absolutely not. Maybe if there's a whole bunch of other things going on with this knife, but how much I like this blade doesn't bother me at all. I don't have a problem with it, and it certainly wouldn't prevent me from purchasing another. The overall weight of this knife is 5.4 ounces. For an EDC blade, I don't care. I'm not that big on weight when it comes to my EDC blades. I do look at it a little bit, but overall, not that big a deal to me. It is a thicker blade. Just for some examples, here's the Endura 4. You can see that is quite a bit thinner. So if you like thinner blades, that just kind of gives you an idea. Let's pull out the Griptilian, and it's about on par with the Griptilian, maybe even a little bit less than the Griptilian. So that just kind of gives you a little bit of a benchmark as far as the thickness of this blade. I've done a lot of box cutting with this thing. I've done a lot of just EDC type of use, and I've done a lot of hard good use with this blade. And really, it's held up well. It's locking up well still after the use I've got. Some minor things I don't like about it, but certainly nothing that would prevent me from, one, purchasing this knife like I did this one, or recommending it to you. If you like the looks of it, you're interested in that G10, nice aggressive G10, and a blade that is built like a tank, keep this one on your radar, because this is a great knife. Thanks much for watching, guys. I always appreciate it. See ya. Solid blade. Take a look at it, guys. Thanks much for watching. I dicked it up again. Overall, guys, like I said, great blade. I'm going to start this ending over because I'm just... Like I said in the opening of this is going to be one for the blooper reels. Holy cow. All right, take 17 million.